So first of all, Judith, thank you so much for being willing to join us at an early morning here.
Thank you for inviting me, really. First time talking to American citizens, so.
Wow, it actually is great. You know what? The thing is that it's not really only Americans. It's really from around the world. Guys, I would assume that most people are Americans, except for the people that are watching the replay. Can I have a vote? Can I see, guys, where are you from? If you can click here on Periscope or on Blah, that I am, where are you from? So we have the first person saying, I'm from Mississippi, USA. NYC, USA. South Florida. Great to have you here, Sinstar. Princeton, California. I'm from California. So we have a few people here from California. That's great. New York City, Mississippi. That's awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. Also, I wanna hear what's the time at your place. So probably I would assume that for most of you it's what, like 8ish in the evening, or 10 in the evening, or 11 at night. So tell me what the time is, just so we can get that. So we have the person saying 11 p.m., 11 p.m., 11 p.m., Florida, 8. So Bob is probably in California, 10:08 p.m., 11:08. All right. So we have people indeed from the United States. So you are right, Judith. Everyone is from America here. So it's great to have you all. I was intrigued by you, Judith, when I found your YouTube videos, and I was like, who is this young girl? Because you do look young. I guess it's a compliment,
well,
right?
Well, it depends on what age, I guess. There is a certain age in which it's a compliment. I'm not sure I got there yet, but thanks.
It's definitely a compliment. I was just amazed by the quality of your presentation, the way that you were able to engage with the audience, asking them questions, kind of demyth and deconstruct what positive psychology is. And I was just like, whoa, who is this girl? Because, I'm used to like professors such as Tal Ben-Shahar and other guys that are like mostly in their 40s, 50s, even 60s, when it comes to the Seligman guy, they're all like pretty old. And to see all of a sudden a girl, a woman who is younger than me, I'm like, who is she and how does she do it? So I was very, encouraged to see a young person, kind of taking over the field and looking such an expert. So before we begin, I just want to ask you how you decided to go on YouTube, and how does that feel, and how do you get over the shyness that I think is natural for all of us?
Well, first of all, thank you for all your compliments. I'm really happy to do this. Well, I didn't start from YouTube. I started from lecturing, in class with people just in front of me, which is much easier for me because I find it kind of hard talking to a camera and feeling like somebody is really out there. So now I'm really trying to imagine everybody on Periscope watching us, so it will feel real. But it is easier when I see you, of course. So I really started giving lectures in the program I used to work at the beginning with people from all classes of society, also people referred by welfare services. So I really started like this, and I loved it. And after I started talking about positive psychology with people I know, I started widening my audience. I started writing newsletters about positive psychology that grew really fast. Today I have 1,500 subscribers for my newsletter.
Wow. How many years have you been doing the email list?
Well, about 7 months, I think, maybe less. 8 months, maybe, yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Wow.
So I think there is a really big need for positive psychology in our society. I guess it's the same for the US. The field is much more developed in the US. So I think that people are really attracted to learning how they could improve their life. And there is a lot of scientific evidence for positive psychology. I guess we'll talk about it soon.
Yeah. Julie's saying that yes, it is. I guess she's saying too, yes, it is developed, but we need more now than ever. Interesting. We need more now than ever. So I would say, just one more quick question before we dive into positive psychology and what is positive psychology. My question is, how did you dive? Like, were you always like a positive person, a psychology person? Were you drawn to psychology? How did you, Judith, stumble upon this field?
Well, that's the $1,000,000 question. Were you always the positive person? Well, I think nobody is always positive, right? But I was a positive child, I could say. I had a happy childhood. I used to deal with things quite positively. I didn't get into a lot of fights as a child. Like, if I remember myself being the little 5-year-old running around, I remember I used to love and make peace among the kindergarten's children. Wow. Yeah, I didn't like to fight, and I didn't like that other people fight next to me. But I guess I wasn't always happy. You can't be happy all the time. You're a human being afterward. But
so you were a peacemaker.
Yeah, I think I could say that I was a peacemaker. It was kind of a hobby, like to tell people, no, you shouldn't fight, and let's talk.
So you're saying that when it comes to were you always positive, you were somewhat sometimes, but you cannot say that always. But how do you stumble upon positive psychology?
I think I started to develop it when I used to teach in this program I told you about. It's called Access for All, and I taught Access for All. Well, university access for all, right? Not only for people that can get accepted into the academia. So I was teaching a class of 30 women, and I was teaching them general subjects of psychology, but we were choosing every week what we want to teach. And I thought I should teach them positive psychology because it's really useful and practical. It's not really a lot of theory like many subjects in psychology, and you could really use it. And I wanted to teach it. So I started reading just for the lesson. And as I read, I really felt that my heart belongs to positive psychology. The more I read and the more I saw videos and lectures, and I started reading scientific articles, and it was the only field I loved reading scientific articles, right? Because usually they're pretty boring. So I loved it. Wow. I found myself really emerging and really like melting into positive psychology. I read really dozens of books in a month. I felt real flow when I studied positive psychology. And at some point I decided I wanna pass my knowledge further, more than only this class, because I really understood the big potential of positive psychology and how it could help other people.
Wow, that's so interesting. So what is it about positive psychology that you think that it can help other people? Why is that? Why do you think is it important? I guess we're kind of diving into the subject of positive psychology. So I'm not sure whether to ask what positive psychology is or why do you think it is important. Let's tackle those.
So we'll start from what positive psychology is, I guess. So positive psychology is a scientific field. It's a subfield of psychology that asks questions like, how do humans prosper? What is true love, true relationships? How can we reach happiness? How can we feel more meaning in our workplace? How can we develop our resilience? How can we make schools a better place? So basically, you're asking about the positive aspects of life, right? Usually psychology focuses on our negative parts, right? How to cure anxiety or depression.
Exactly. What I think when I think of psychology, right? Don't we all, guys, all of you, and we have June writing here, great trait to have at such a young age. Yeah, great trait, I guess, talking about the peaceful ability. In kindergarten. But how many of you guys, thank you guys for the greetings, I just saw them on Periscope. How many of you guys watching here now on Periscope or here on Blab, how many of you guys, when you think of psychology, think that psychology has to do with what's wrong with you, right? That's at least my kind of perception of psychology.
Yeah, well, I usually ask people in my lectures, when you hear the word psychology, what jumps into your head? Yeah, like what do you think about straightly? And
Bubble Blah Blah says that it's an interesting concept, new to me. And she agrees with us, saying that it's definitely sounds like what something is wrong with you.
Okay, exactly. When we think about psychology, we usually focus on the negative sides and what's wrong with us and how can we fix it. And of course, it's a really important question to ask, right? If I have a real problem, I should fix it. But the thing is,
because it really helps us like explain ourselves, like Stuart just wrote that psychology generally just helps us explain.
Yeah, we could say that the aim of psychology in general is like how people work, right? But the thing is that the psychology focused on the negative for a lot of years, and it's also true for research. When you look at scientific research, you see a lot of research for anxiety and depression and trauma and crisis, and it's really important, right? But it's not the whole picture, right? Because we have a lot of other aspects in our life, like happiness and love and relationship. And research hasn't dedicated a lot of effort for these subjects. So there is like a 21-to-1 ratio of negative studies comparing to positive studies if you look at research. And also when we look at therapy, right? People usually go to a psychologist when something's wrong. It's really rare that you wake up in the morning and say, I love my life, everything is great, let's go to visit a psychologist, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's when things are like kind of messed up in my life and I need to go to a psychologist, right? So let's just dive right into positive psychology. And I think that what I'm most interested in, you tell me here on Periscope, on Blab, whether you agree with me. I just want to hear advice. Now, I'm a little bit weary of advice because I'm tired of all of these books, like 7 things you need to read and then you'll be happy, or like this is a quick fix that all of a sudden you can be happy. Like I'm a little bit kind of weary about it, and I want to hear, if you give me an advice, I really want to hear that it works. Like I want to hear things from your own experience that have made you feel better, because otherwise,
I really agree.
You understand what I'm saying here, Judith?
There is this trend of instant changes, right? Of fast changes, of not paying a lot of attention in order to improve. Like people want something, they want it fast, they want it now, and this notion of expecting something to happen really fast is usually depressing us on the long term, because if I expect something to happen really fast and it doesn't, I start blaming myself, right? I start saying, I read this book, like you said, 7 tips about happiness, and I'm not happier, so probably something's wrong with me and not with the book, right? So I really agree that advice should be scientifically based and not just something you should do and your life will be better in magic.
Yeah. So go ahead, give me something. Give me something, one thing. What's one thing that I can do in my life
that's a great
that can
question.
Make me feel
so
happier?
I think the most classic thing you could do is make a gratitude journal. Have you heard about gratitude journals?
Gratitude journal. How many of you have heard of gratitude journal? We do play the gratitude game here on Periscope, but yeah, guys, if you heard what the gratitude journal is, please write to me. Yeah, we play the gratitude game, exactly, June. Jean says that she has. How did you hear of it, Jean? I first heard of the gratitude journal through Oprah Winfrey, actually. Any of you, how did you hear it? Whether you heard of it? Is this a new concept for you? As Judith, go ahead and tell us what.
So basically, we're usually surrounded by a lot of negativity, right? We open the newspaper, we see terrorism, we see natural disasters. We really open our day with bad news usually. And we're also biased towards thinking about negative things that happen in our life. Like we usually think about the job we didn't get and how somebody offended us. And we pay a lot of attention and thought to those kind of things.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah said that they heard of it through church. So go on. You're saying that we hear negative things because we're bombarded
so
by
it's a combination between
us, right?
the fact that we're surrounded by negative things and the fact that we're biased towards thinking about the negative from an evolutionary perspective, right? So the thing about gratitude journal is to counteract all the negativity around us, because.
And Jean is saying that she heard of it through a marketing company that she was working with. So we are bombarded, and we are also biased towards negativity.
Okay, so with the gratitude journal, we really try to think about good things that happen to us every day. So technically, we take a notepad or something, or just a piece of paper, and think about 5 good things that happened to us in the day. That we're grateful for. And these things could be really small. I mean, like I had a nice meal. I met a friend I didn't see for a long time. My mother told me she loves me. Okay, so things that happen on an everyday basis that are not really the biggest thing, but we should pay more attention for. So when we try to think about the positive things, we practice our mind, like we practice our thought, to see the positive things, and when we appreciate the positive, the positive appreciates, right? So that's the basic idea of
it was an aha moment. When we appreciate the positive appreciates, the positive grows. That's cool. That's nice.
There is a lot of research about gratitude, probably about gratitude game as well, but about the gratitude journal, we see that people that practice gratitude on a daily basis are happier on the long term. First, they're healthier on physiological measures, and they have better relationships. They're generous and kind. Okay, so we see a really large effect for such a small action, right? Because you only have to think about it for, I don't know, 5 minutes maybe every day.
So the research really says that writing 5 things that you're grateful for like 5 minutes at night really helps. Like I want what the research found. Like give me an example.
Well, I can give you an example
for
research done by Emmons and McClough that did this research. Basically, they had 2 groups of students. One group had to write things they were grateful for every day before they went to sleep. Just like I told you, small things. And the other group had to write what they did on the same day, but just neutral things, right? I went to school, I ate, just what they did. And they followed these groups for like half a year, 6 months, and started measuring a lot of things: their happiness, their relationships, their well-being, their generosity, their health. Okay, how many times they went to the doctor, how many times they said they're sick, and they saw a huge difference. Okay, it's not like a little thing, a really, really huge difference between those groups. You with me?
And all of you newcomers, we are now interviewing Judith Katz.
Hi.
And Judith, hi June.
Hi Judith.
How's it going? Wow, that's great.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here, June. So Gabrielle and all of the new guys that are here, we are interviewing now an Israeli expert when it comes to the field of positive psychology. Gratitude journal, yay! When it comes to the field of positive psychology. She is only 26, but has quite an accomplishment in Israel right now. And just from the past few minutes of talking to you, Judith, I found so much valuable information. You were just now talking about the research that is backing up the fact that gratitude journal actually does help you feel happier. So can you sum it up, give me the bottom line of what the research found?
So the bottom line is that when we try to think about the positive things that happen every day, we create a positive path in our mind, right? Because in the beginning, it's really hard. You try to think about something positive and you're like, I don't have anything. Nothing was positive today. It was just an ordinary day, and it's hard. And when you practice it every day, you see that it's becoming more easier from day to day. And the fact that it's becoming easier, it's the real evidence that you're used to thinking about positive things because you're noticing them. You're walking like on the day afterwards and you're saying, oh, I'll write this in my gratitude journal. This is something great that happened to me. So
it kind of wires your brain differently, right? Linda just said a few minutes ago that just thinking about gratitude makes her feel high. So that's definitely something that
so it's very helpful. I see it in my courses that it's really hard for people in the beginning, and after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, they start doing it automatically. They don't have to think about it a lot in order to write it. And the important thing to do when you write the things you're grateful for is that you have to really feel it. It's not just taking a notebook and writing something and going to sleep. You have to really imagine what you've been through and try to feel it again, try to re-experience it again, and elevate the positive.
Bubble Blah says it helps you realize how many blessings you have. Bubble Blah said that. Really, like, count your blessings. I think it says in the Bible something of that sort.
A lot of things, a lot of issues from positive psychology also in the Bible.
Perfect. So I want to welcome the people that have recently joined us, Brooke and Roth. Is Roth Shari? Is that Shari here joining us? And David, you all are welcome to, there's one more seat, so you all are welcome to join us with a camera. So feel free to join us. Thank you, June, for welcoming as well. So this was a great tip, but to my extent, it's a very common tip. Like by now I've heard of it in 1 or 2 places. I think that's the bottom line. Like, is there any other thing that one can do?
But I would like to add something more about the gratitude. You could also write a gratitude letter or do a gratitude visit. You shouldn't do that every day because it takes a lot of effort, but it has a really, really strong effect on you when you sit and think about something or someone that really helps you in your life. It doesn't have to be life-changing, but your brother, your mother, somebody from work, somebody that really helped you, and you write something you feel.
So just for a second, I'm writing it down. So gratitude letter to someone that I feel grateful for.
It's not always easy, right? Sometimes we think it's embarrassing to share our feelings, but the thing is, when we're thinking about somebody that helped us, we feel good, right? I appreciate it. And when I tell somebody else about it, it's amazing, okay? Because they feel really great about you noticing the help they gave you and you appreciating them as a person. So basically what you should do is write the letter and then call the person, tell them you want to meet. When you meet, read the letter out loud, okay? What you wrote. This is intense, but it has a huge effect. Okay, great studies of Martin Seligman that researched the gratitude visit. And
did you say read it out loud?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
You said read it out loud to them?
Yes. Read it out loud.
I thought that it's so intense that I'm just going to put it in the mail and forget about it. Like actually meeting them and reading, it's like, and when what happens is that
you can't meet them. You can do it on Skype, for example, just like now. We're talking with people in the US, so you could do it on Skype or on Periscope.
It's a little embarrassing, they already think that I'm a little bit wacko, and then to bring this letter and start reading out loud. But you're saying that it will help me feel
Well, research says it's about 2 months of elevated happiness when you write a gratitude letter and you read it out loud, because it's a really strong experience. I don't know if anybody here tried it, but it's a strong experience because you expose your feelings. And a lot of times people start crying and hugging, and it changes the relationships a lot of times, right? Because when you say something, what you're feeling, it's great.
No,
June,
I was writing.
You have a question? Okay, perfect. We had Bubble Blah, I don't know how you pronounce the Bubble Blah, saying that acts of service can help too.
Yes.
Would you say that that's true, acts of service?
helping other people
In which-
elevates our happiness dramatically. Okay, and this is also one of things research has shown that helps us feel better when we help somebody else. So volunteering, thinking anybody on the street is really helpful for us and other people. Usually,
But wouldn't like say I go to volunteer at like a place of like whether it's handicapped people or prisoners, wouldn't it put me down? Wouldn't it drag me down?
According to research, no, because it's a great satisfaction of helping somebody else. Of course, if it's a really drastic situation or something really dramatic, it could put you down like the first shock. For example, I volunteered with the young adolescents at a psychiatric department in the hospital for a year, and I can tell from my own experience that at the beginning it was really shocking to see people that are 12 years old, 13 years old, and they have so many hardships. But after I got used to it for a bit, I felt really good that I'm helping them because I can help them. And the only thing you need to do is listen and show that they're interesting, and it makes a huge difference. And when you understand that, then it feels great.
That's great. That's great. I do volunteer. I do a big brother, big sister with a young brother for 5 years now. It really is meaningful, but I think that there is a place for me to stretch myself like further and to perhaps do something else. Do you guys volunteer? Do you guys volunteer or do things that make you feel happier? Do you now do anything in your life, Judith?
Well, now I try to help people with positive psychology. So I give a lot of lectures in hospitals and in people that have mental hardships. I do it voluntarily. So I try to help as many people as I can. And I see my newsletter as well as a help because, of course, it's free. And I try to give the best tips and everything I know in these newsletters and people.
That's great. That's great. That's really impressive. So we have Shari saying that, yes, of course. We have Bubble Blah. Bubble Blah, what's your name? Write to me your name, Bubble Blah. It's difficult for me to pronounce. Bubble Blah is saying, yes, of course, with kids, teens, and she also teaches, or she or he also teaches. June is saying, I donate to kids that can't afford, right? School handouts. That's awesome. Christy. So Christy is Bubble Blah. Thank you, Christy. We also have Happy Oils joining us on Blab. Happy Oils, feel free to click on the camera and join us. Jean is saying there is a Live Happy organization that has a website and also a magazine. So give us the address again, and that will be an interesting place so that you can find ideas to volunteer and stuff like that. Plus a lot of great other happy activities. Super, Jean. So do write the address again so I can read it to everyone. That would be great. If any of you thank you for saying that, June. I hope the connection is getting better. So the address is www.livehappy.com. It's livehappy.com. That's great. So
I would also like to emphasize that a lot of us don't have time, right? We say I can't volunteer because it's really consuming and I'm so busy, and it's okay. Okay, what I want to say is that you can also help people on a daily basis without volunteering. Only when you ride your car and somebody wants to pass, when you give it to him, like you let him, it feels good. When you help somebody cross the road, when you help somebody carry something, when you see that somebody is stuck with no money for parking and you give him like a dime or a dollar, it feels good. Okay, it doesn't have to be a huge thing you do every week for a whole day. Or did you help other people?
Okay, that's reassuring. Thank you for that. So even if I spontaneously see someone in need and act upon it, it helps me raise my level of happiness. Perfect. Christy is asked, where can she get your newsletter?
Well, it's in Hebrew, but I would love to send it to her. if she likes to. She can send me her email and I will send it to her.
Okay, so why won't we? Well, I think the easiest way will be to tweet Judith, and you can actually see online her Twitter account. Her Twitter account is @cats_Judith. So it's KATZ_Judith. And there you can tweet her and she can tweet you back. And I'm sure that today with Google Translate, you can probably understand the newsletter pretty well.
I don't know if it's the best thing to put your effort on, because I think that the reason I chose to write the newsletter in Hebrew is because the field of positive psychology is not really developed in Israel yet. And in the United States, it is. So there are a lot of materials on the net about positive psychology, really good ones. And I'm thinking about specific ones. If you go to the website of the Whole Being Institute, Greater Good, Whole Being Institute.
Whole Being Institute.
And they have great materials. I think they also have a newsletter. There's also a website called Greater Good that summarizes scientific research about happiness and about how to live a better life. I think these are two really good websites. You could use their information.
Okay. I'm just writing here in the description, Institute. So we have that. Christy saying thank you. That's great. What was the second thing? It was great good. Or what was the?
Yeah, great. I think they're called Greater Good, but if you put it on Google, I'm sure you'll find the.
Super. Happy Oils saying thank you as well. Happy Oils also gave you applause, so that was great. Thank you for that. So, guys, do you have any question? Any of you have any question? Feel free to write either here on Periscope or here on Blab. Otherwise, give us another tip, Judith. One more thing. So we spoke about the gratitude journal. We spoke about volunteering. Any other something I can do in my life that has actual effect on my life?
Okay, so another thing that really distinguishes happier people is that they design rituals in their lives. Okay, they make rituals around things that are important for them to happen. For example, if it's important for me to meet my brother or have a good relationship with him, I make a ritual of meeting him once a week, for example. Every Sunday at 5 p.m. We meet, okay? And this way, I can make sure that I meet him every time, and I know it's good for me because I love him and it's fun. And the ritual really helps me make it every week. So research shows that people that design rituals in their lives to keep things that are important for them are happier than people who just go with the flow and don't. So there are a lot of rituals you can design, right? The gratitude journal is a ritual, for example. Yeah.
Ritual. Can a ritual also be something that I do like once every 4 weeks?
I'll define a ritual. Basically, a ritual is what?
That's religious.
Yeah, it sounds religious because in religion you also have things you do on a regular basis, right? So it's actually the same, but it doesn't have to be religious. So basically, a ritual is a really small action you do repeatedly on the same time. You know when it happens and what it has to include, and it's easy. Okay, that's also really important because if it's something that's really hard, you don't feel like doing it, and then you have to get all your willpower, and we know we're hard with willpower. So a ritual has to be really small and repeat on the same time. And you can design rituals in all aspects of your life, from relationships to work, everything.
So let us together with you, Judith, think of something like 10 rituals that we can do in our lives.
Okay, so that we can tell you about my rituals.
So
the rituals I do on a daily basis.
Asking, give an example, please.
Okay, so first of all, the gratitude journal we were talking about. This is a great ritual to insert in your life. Check. Second thing I do every morning is I meditate. I started from meditating 1 minute because it's hard in the beginning, just breathing and focusing on my breath. And I developed it as time passed. So meditating, I do it in the morning, but you could also do it at any time. Third, I have this ritual of studying Spanish. Every Friday at 1, I have this reminder of watching one episode of some Spanish TV show in order to practice my Spanish. That's a third ritual I have.
Wow. Why does studying, how is that related
it's related to
happiness
happiness because it's one of my goals. Okay, I didn't say it before, but when we pursue our own goals and our own aims, we feel happier. So it's not that learning Spanish makes you happier, but fulfilling your own goals makes you happier. Okay, and one of my goals is studying Spanish. So.
Okay, so actually that's great. So that's another point. So it's like to become happier, I need to have goals. What if I don't have goals? Like, will I not be happy?
It's not that if you'll not have goals, you won't be happy. But research does show that the people that have goals, they want to reach are happier. Okay, and
goals stress me out. I had goals and then I got all stressed, and that's what people would say, right?
So make them short-term goals then.
Yes.
Short-term goals. Okay.
Yes, goals don't have to be bombastic. You don't have to say I wanna go to the moon or save Earth from global warming. It could be small things in your life, like improving your relationship or starting to exercise. Or getting a better job. Okay.
So to do something that advances your goal as a ritual, that would be something that makes you.
If you repeat it on a regular basis, it's a ritual.
So if one of my goals is to have like a more intimate and closer relationship with my fiancé, it would be like meeting regularly for a date outside the house once a week.
That would be a great ritual. It's actually a ritual I practice together with my fiance as well. We also had this ritual of meeting every Monday and Thursday because we're both really busy, and we understood.
Our days are Monday and Thursday. It's so funny. See, we should send positive energy. The two couples should send that positive energy.
The good thing about rituals is that they really help you complete the important things in your life. Because otherwise, for example, with my fiance, we're both really busy. So if we don't make a ritual around it, we just don't meet. Okay, because I work at the evening and he works in the morning, and we don't have time for meetings. But if we set a ritual around it, we both know it's important, and we don't have to talk about it every week when we're meeting. We know that it's Monday and Thursday, and it really helps our relationship. So that's another ritual I do.
Okay, that's perfect. I would love for us to think of more rituals, but before that, we're going to do a technical break of about 1 minute, if that's okay with you. Just great to have you here. Thank you for your patience, and thank you, Judith, again for being with us.
Really, it was great.
So before the break, we were looking into rituals that we can actually do. We began talking today about having a gratitude journal. You guys are having a gratitude journal, right? A gratitude
Starting
journal.
from today.
What do you say? Starting from today. We were talking about the importance of volunteering and helping. And it doesn't. You said that it doesn't have to be something that I do every week. Just like, spontaneously volunteering or helping others make me feel happier. And now we were talking about rituals. So we had a question, how can us positive people not let others that are negative with life bring us down? I'm sorry, June, you wanted to go, but here you are being asked, your question is being asked. So why wouldn't you ask it and ask from your standpoint, why, so we can understand your question?
If you are a very positive person by nature and you live a positive life, but you have people in your life that are negative, and I guess they don't try to bring you down, but their presence brings you down. How do you stay up in that circumstance?
Yeah, what do you do? Can you fire them? What do you do
really
with people like
question. What you should do?
Yeah, I would have to say it. If they're family, if they're your partners, if they are your colleagues at work that you sit in the same.
Well, I think the best thing I would do is try taking them up instead of going down. Like try helping them be happier, which can also boost my happiness, because if I help somebody else, I feel better. So that's the first thing I would do. We've tried.
We've tried.
How do you do that? How do you bring them up? Helium?
Yeah, exactly.
They're negative by nature, but it doesn't mean that they can't change, right? We talked about the gratitude journal, for example, that changes the way we are, our negativity. So I would, for example, advise them to make the gratitude journal, or maybe write a gratitude letter to them. It could really change the relationship, by the way.
Okay, that's actually okay. So say my girlfriend is a negative person, which she isn't. Don't start saying, oh, she's negative. No. But say she was. My spouse was negative. Instead of telling them to be more positive, I would write a letter of gratitude.
Well, that's an example of something you could
loud.
do that could be really helpful. Sometimes people don't like being told they should be more positive, right? It can make them angry if you tell them you're negative. So I wouldn't tell it like directly you should be positive, but I would do positive activities with them together. Let's say volunteer together, or you could exercise together, which also is something that was fine to elevate our happiness and boost our happiness, by the way. And
but just 1 second. So say my siblings are negative, and we need to meet once a year for Thanksgiving and for Hanukkah and whatever, like a few times a year. So instead of instead of meeting with them in the family setting, which I know will drag me down, to actually say, let's go to a family outing, to like a place that we can actually volunteer, say like give food or something like that as the family gathering would make the energy rise.
Well, that's one possibility, right? You could do a lot of different activities with your siblings or people you work with. The thing is, you should think what would make them feel better and try to make the relationship more positive. Of course, there are people that it's really hard and they want to be negative, they enjoy it, and we don't have to keep all these people in our lives, okay? The question is if we have a possibility to not be in a relationship with them or not. I don't know who these people are, but I can definitely tell you that if I feel that somebody is hurting me on a regular basis, it's not part of my life anymore, okay? What do you think?
So I guess what June was asking is indeed about people that are kind of in our life. Feme, Deborah, said that she already does that, and she does with her family community outreach, which is great. I also want to welcome our friends from Lebanon. We had a friend from Lebanon joining us. It's great to have neighbors. All right. So give June and myself one more tip as to I'm being dragged down. Like I know that when I'm in their company, more than like 2 hours, consecutively, I want to shoot myself. So what else can I do?
Well, other than what we said, maybe just talk to them about it. Maybe they don't realize that they're negative and that they make other people feel negative. So maybe just say it directly, not as you have to be positive, but what do you make me feel? Okay, when I'm in your presence, I feel a bit, I feel worse because 1, 2, 3, 4. And I would be happy if we could talk about it and think what we could do. Okay, honest questions, and I think it's also a good solution to just talk about things honestly.
Okay, that's great. Yes, sometimes they need to be gently told. Gently told. Thank you for saying that, Christy.
Great.
Gently told. I appreciate it.
It's not about criticizing the person. It's just about a really honest attempt to improve the relationship. It's not like saying you're bad and you're negative and I hate you. It's really just sharing your feelings. You know, you do it because you have a good purpose.
Yeah. And may I add something from the opposite side of the angle? Oftentimes my girlfriend tells me, you know, we really need to talk. That stresses me out completely. I'm like, oh, I freaking want to done. So basically, and she wants to talk to me about how I'm participating in the household chores and cleaning and stuff like that. So I would recommend that you would talk about what is already working, June and myself, right, and all of us. So speak about what is already working. When my girlfriend, rather than tells me, listen, Jonathan, we need to talk, she tells me, you know, recently I love how you are doing the dishes every night. I really am so appreciative of it. You know, I look at the sink, it's cleaner, and it makes me feel that you really love me. And I'm like, oh, good. You know, I'm willing to do more. And then she would say, you know, I would really appreciate if you can leave your shoes like in the closet rather than like messing with your socks and stuff when you're at your home. So I would say, you know, keep focusing about something that you are positive about, and you know, begin with that.
I completely agree, and I also think it's really important to talk about a specific behavior or a specific action, and not talk about the personality. Okay, like saying, I don't like it when you leave your shoes in the house, and not saying, you're such a messy person. Okay, it's a completely different. Yes, those generalizations usually hurt the opposite side, and then we get into a fight. If we talk about a specific behavior, it's much easier to get a solution and talk about it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So Shari is saying that you have such a great approach, Judy. What happens if my chit chat? So you kind of address that, but I want to target it more. What happens if I am my worst critic, and I put myself down and telling myself, you know, Jonathan, you know, you haven't done what you promised yourself to do today, and you woke up late and you didn't do your rituals, and you didn't keep your diet, and you didn't call that person. You are such a failure. What happens if my chit chat? Well,
so we addressed a couple of things you could do. First, the gratitude journal helps you focus on the positive sides. Okay, so you didn't do what you said you would do, but maybe there were other things that were good on this day, for example. Sometimes we focus only on what we didn't do, but we still do a lot of good things, right? So focusing on the positive side is of course one thing you could do. Second thing we only mentioned is exercise, okay, physical exercise. A lot of research shows that exercising on a regular basis really elevates the level of your happiness, your energy, your flow, your concentration. So exercising is one of the best things you can do when you feel down. It elevates the levels of serotonin and dopamine in your.
But what happens if the gym is far away, and you know, and I don't have any good attitude about exercising? What should I do then? Like I hear that it releases all of these hormones that make you happy, but you know, can you still apply it if you are not like the jogger
you
kind of guy?
You don't have to run for 10 miles or something. You can just go for a walk. The thing is, you have to elevate the level of your heartbeat. So aerobic exercise doesn't have to be running for hours. It can be walking or walking fast as well. It's also aerobic exercise, and you could start from a small activity. We talked about rituals before, so starting from walking every morning for 20 minutes because it's something you could do that is not really hard for you, and it can help you.
One more thing, or I would kind of want to hear about, since you've been applying all of this in the last, year, 2 years, since you stumbled upon positive psychology, I would like to hear how it affects your life. And possibly one more thing is to my negative self-talk. Well, me, I don't do a lot of sport. Michelle is writing that she doesn't do a lot of sport. So possibly one more thing that can, that we can take with us.
Okay, so one more thing I would like to say about the negative thoughts is really confronting your thoughts with writing. Okay, writing is a great tool. When we think about something, we usually ruminate around it, and things get really worse in our mind. Like we start thinking, why did I do that? And I should do that. And I was such a bad person, and he offended me. And I really start getting into those downward spirals. You probably know it from your own life. Everybody does it. And when we write what we feel and what we think, it looks completely...
Deborah is saying, so true. Great release.
Yes, it's a great way to release, and you'll see it when you write your feelings and your thought, that it looks completely different on paper than in your head. Okay, when we write it, we understand it better. We see what we've done and what we can do. There is a certain meaning for what happened, and we can also confront our thoughts. Because if I write something like I'm stupid, I can look at it and think, wait, am I stupid? Is there any other evidence for me not being stupid? For example, I did a degree, or I can talk with people about interesting stuff, and I can find counter evidence for the things I'm thinking about. Whether that in my head, it's not really easy to do it because I just...
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Deborah is saying that all your senses participate, and she also gave an advice, and Sherry was joining too, saying that that you can read it out loud to you, and also that the fact that you are saying, like, I would agree, because my mind, I'm saying to myself sometimes, unfortunately, that I am stupid. And when I write it down, I don't write I am stupid, but I do write I feel stupid. You see, I'm more like, my words automatically become more sharp, right? And when I see I feel stupid, I'm like, poor guy, why do you feel stupid, man? You achieved this and you achieved that. So then it definitely helps. See, but I don't do those things consciously, when I'm down for a long time, I'm like, I'm just going to start writing in my journal, which I haven't opened, in weeks or something of that sort. So you're saying consciously be aware of when your self-talk is negative, write it down, right?
Definitely. Also backed up by a lot of research. Okay? So, writing your negative experiences and the positive, but we're talking about the negative now. So really helps you release your feelings, feel better, understand the story. And you could also think about it that if I give you a list, what?
I just want to be for a second devil's advocate and say my girlfriend left me, and I feel heartbroken. Thank you, Christy. Wouldn't you, like, if I'm like digging into my pain and writing, oh, she left me, she's probably hanging out with other guys, and she told me she'll be here with me forever, and I'm writing everything down.
Research shows that it doesn't, because when you write it down, the story is
research with real people. Research with real people,
not rats. Well, so when you write something down, you form a story around it. A story is something you can understand. Okay, it has a beginning, it has an end, it has a meaning, it had reasons why it happens, it has lessons you learn from it. When it's in your head, it's not that organized. Okay, you have a lot of thoughts, you ruminate around it, and it usually gets worse. You should try it, okay? Lately, I've done it, okay? I felt bad because something happened, and I just wrote everything I felt down, and I felt way better, okay? I looked at it afterwards, and I said, okay, that's what happened. Suddenly you realize that it's not that bad, or it happened and I can cope with it because here I wrote it down and I see it and I'm okay. Okay, so it really looks completely different on paper, and I hardly recommend it.
Wow, that's great. June is saying that when you reread the journal, you will process how you are feeling about the breakup. Exactly. So not only writing but rereading. Yes, exactly, says Deborah, and your senses all come into play. So it's like rather than being stuck in your brain, you see it, you can hear it, you write it. So all your senses are coming into play, and then it takes the drama out of the story. Aren't we all like often so caught up in the drama? So definitely it makes things kind of more like, it puts them
usually
in the right
when
box,
when we analyze a bad experience on paper, we see that it's not that bad, right? Because when I write, okay, somebody told me that I'm stupid. Okay, let's take it as an example. So I write it down. I say I told something that was not really intelligent, and he told me as a response, "You're stupid." And I was offended. And someday I look at it and say, okay, so he told me I'm stupid. It's not as bad as in my head, right? In my head, I start thinking about my identity and how bad it is. And on paper, it's really not as bad. We suddenly see that it's okay. Really, you should try it and you'll see.
Okay, that's great. Guys, didn't you get like tons of value from this interview? I'm like, I have this many notes here about writing it down and about doing the gratitude and the exercising, all these notes. This is really valuable for me. Eating, people saying here that eating things that make you happy. When we are seeing here, so great. Yes, very informative. Yes, look, the screen is very exciting here. So much confirmation. Happy always saying yes. I'm definitely going to replay it. That's great. Wonderful, Jenny is saying, and interesting saying this. That's great. So psychology is fascinating. Thank you both. Yes, thank you, Dawn. Wow. All of you guys, where have you been? You've been so silent. Gabriel, we love you, Mr. Craziness. That's great. So I want to conclude and ask you, Judith, which kind of changes have you seen in your life? I guess I wanna hear from your own experience whether it is working and whether I should take a more conscious effort of doing those things. Because I'm aware of some of those things, but I must say that I do not take a conscious effort of actually doing it every day or doing the rituals or like knowing. I have many people that I do know that make me happy. I have a friend in Tel Aviv. I live away from Tel Aviv right now, up north, so I don't really meet her. And I know that meeting her or even talking to her will make me happy, but I don't like put it into the calendar as a positive ritual once a month or once every 2 weeks or so. So I want to hear from your own experience. Did it improve your life?
I think that the most important thing, like the most important reason it improves your life, is because you start being active for your happiness. You're not passive in your life, like moving from one thing to another only because you do. Okay, you choose actively. What is my next step? What I want to do. You gain control over your own life, and this by itself is really meaningful. When you feel that you work for your happiness, and absolutely, I feel the difference from the gratitude journal. Sometimes when I walk in the street, I see something and I feel really good. In the past, I used to just walk by and don't feel anything because I didn't notice it. I was on my phone or in my head, worse, okay, and not noticing anything around me. And now I feel like I'm more conscious to the beautiful things that are around me, the people, the sights, the view, right? So it really improved my life, and helping other people with it is one of the things that make me happy. Okay, we talked about helping other people, so this is something I really feel. This is why I chose positive psychology as the thing I would like to do.
That's great. That's great. Super. So I must say, Judith, in the name of all of us watching, that you are a very inspiring young lady. Very much so. We've had 74 applause from people here, and people here are saying, yes, I agree, totally. We have had lots of support being shown here on Periscope. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being willing to wake up at what it was like 5 a.m. and to speak to us all the way from where you now?
Next to Jerusalem, a village I live in.
Wow. My God, guys, from Jerusalem itself.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It feels really, really great to do this, as I told you. I have something to write in my gratitude journal today.
People are saying thanks so much. She's great, awesome, nice. I cannot read it. All kinds of good stuff. So lots of hearts. We've been receiving lots of hearts on Periscope, Jerusalem, yay. So yeah, we might actually have you back here. Can we do this again? Asks Shari. We would love to. That it really wasn't. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I would say this is what, guys. All of you, take a pen and a paper. June is pointing. Intermission.
Hearts. Thank you.
June is hearts. Power community. Sorry, it took me a moment to realize what was that. But exactly, lots of hearts, lots of hearts. I'm so lucky because I'm the one receiving the hearts for Judith. That's awesome. Guys, I want you to take a pen and paper and to write something like 10 letters, which are really easy to remember. It's CATZ, K-A-T-Z _ Judith, J-U-D-I-T-H. CATZ _ Judith is your Twitter name, and it will be great if you can tweet her your questions. And once we have enough questions, possibly, if it will be okay with you, Judith, we can have you back here online.
Yeah, sure. I would say that I'm not really active on Twitter, so maybe you should try to contact me on Facebook, Judith Katz.
What we'll do is I'll help you, because I know many Israelis aren't like accustomed to Twitter. What we'll do is we'll make sure that when people tweet you, immediately it will get to your email. Great. So you will see. I'll help you with that. No problem. Because I had that one recently. People are sending me direct messages on Twitter. I'm like, I don't know on Twitter. So I fixed that. So it's very easy. You can get the notifications. Go ahead and tell us your Facebook for people that are Facebook fans. Exactly, Shari, it is the way. Shari is asking CATZ _ Judith, exactly this spelling, precisely. So what's your Facebook user?
Judith Katz. So just my name.
Without underscore? Judith first and then CATZ. Okay, perfect. And we are signing off. Thank you so much, Judith, for being here with us. This has been really great.